We welcome head-to-head angler Matt Stefan to the Sports Coach today. That's on the bass side of things. Matt, how are you doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good. I'm getting excited. The ice is starting to come off around here.
Yeah. Mother Nature, maybe she can cooperate a little bit heading into this season. That would be fantastic. Let's get started. How did you get interested in fishing? Do you have an earliest memory that kind of set you on your path to being really
Yeah,
interested in fishing?
I didn't grow up in a typical fishing family household. I grew up in Chicago, so for us to get to a body of water was generally a long trek, even if it was only a few miles away, based on like traffic. So my fishing experience really started with summer vacations. Our summer vacation was always up to the Hayward, Wisconsin area. It was a week to 2 weeks long. We'd go up with my grandparents, aunts, and uncles. We'd rent 3 or 4 cabins and kind of just be up there for a nice stint of time. And with that, my grandpa really was the fisherman. I mean, he had been going up to the Hayward area. I mean, really since like the 30s and 40s. I mean, my mom was going up there as a kid, so he would go up and he would fish all day long. Johnson silver minnow, Uncle Josh pork frog. He'd go fish a bunch of pads and go out and catch a few bass, come back, and that kind of I think led to my dad kind of getting into fishing. But it was more like we're gonna go out, throw a plastic worm around, and the kids would jump in the boat. But for me, it wasn't like we were a diehard fishing family. It was the trip we all looked forward to. But um, for whatever reason, it just stuck with me, and I kind of took it and ran with it, and here we are today.
How young were you when you were taking these trips to the
That
cabin,
was
or was it?
that my entire life. I mean, I was 6 months old the first summer I was up there, but I mean that was our vacation. Every year was up to the Hayward area, and it's what we all looked forward to. We'd take over a little fishing resort, and we'd go. If we caught something, we kept it. I can tell you that.
Sure. Those are great core memories, and it led you to this point, right?
Yeah,
To fall in love with the sport. I love that. So heading into head-to-head, you are fishing with your son, correct?
I am. My little boy Hank. He's 8.
He's 8. Okay. I I love this. I'm a father of 2. I think this is fantastic. What made you or led you to picking the partner you did for this head-to-head season?
Well, I mean, so I started fishing team tournaments when I was like probably 20 years old. I went to college here over at the University of Wisconsin at Stevens Point. So that like I met my team partner there. I've only really had 2 team partners my entire life, and we're all good friends. And now those 2 team partners are team partners. And really, what happened to me is I went and I started fishing professional level stuff 15 years ago, and since then I've never really fished team events. And over the last couple of years, we've got local Wednesday night tournaments that I've been fishing with both of my boys, my boy Hank and my little boy Duke, who's 6. We go fish Wednesday nighters, and my 8-year-old Hank has just got the itch, and so he wants to fish everything. And when the opportunity came up to fish H to H, they're my partners at this point. It's we're not we're going to have fun. We are, it's not like we're practicing for these events. We're going to show up. We're going to fish. I just have a good time fishing with them, and a lot of times we'll be pulling baits out of trees and looking to. I don't know if he sees a crayfish, he'll probably jump in and try to get it. But the point is, we're looking to have fun. It's not really about the competition. It's about the experience. And with my tournament schedule this year, it's just it really worked out well from a timing perspective, where we can fish as a team. And if I'm going to choose a partner, I would choose my boys over anyone else at this point.
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. My further questions about teammates go into leadership roles and stuff on the boat, but being the dad and fishing with an 8-year-old, are you going to take take this time to teach? Are you going to be teaching him the proper techniques and stuff? Because that's one of the things I love most about Head to Head. You have a camera on the boat, and it's a great opportunity for you to interact with the audience by teaching us, myself included, who don't know much about fishing. Are you going to be the father on the boat teaching him all this fun stuff and getting better as an angler that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's just natural, I guess, instincts for me at this point. It's not like I'm doing these specifically to teach him how to fish, but that's just when we're out on the boat. If I see something that triggers something in my head, I definitely relay that to him to, cast to a certain spot for a certain reason, or this is the baits we're going to be using for certain reasons. So it's definitely going to be, I'm not going to change anything I would do. If this was a Wednesday nighter and the camera was in the boat, you would see us talking about juice boxes and fruit snacks, just like you probably will on Head to Head. So I really don't know. I know it's going to be fun. It's really going to come down more to me to, make sure that there's no pressure on him to perform. And from that standpoint, we're going in with the idea of this is going to be fun. If we can catch some fish and have a good time, then it's all benefit. But he's got the competitive spirit in him, so I'm not gonna. He's well aware we're going to be in a tournament. He'll be the one that's probably like, Dad, we gotta, we're behind by 4 pounds. We gotta catch one, and I'll be the one that's like, just cool your jets. It's not all about winning. And I mean, we're gonna do our best to compete, but the expectation levels on my part, not that high. I mean, I think I've only fished 1 or 2 of these bodies of water, so it's, with no practice, we're just gonna roll in and see what happens.
And what a beautiful thing. I mean, this is like an old family video. You're going to be able to look back upon these memories. You're going to get hours upon hours of time with your son that you're going to be able to pull back from the banks here, man. It's
I mean,
you're going to be
my biggest concern really has nothing to do with the fishing aspect. It's knowing him. He's going to be so excited. He's going to have a blast. We're going to get up early to get there, and the next day is going to be the day where he's just a little bear to deal with because he's got, half the amount of sleep he should have. That's actually my biggest concern, is to see how he responds like the following day. But we're going to do, as a family, we're going to try to make the most out of some of these events. We do, being that we're in the Stevens Point area, we're a decent drive away from a lot of these lakes. So for some of these instances, I think we're going to try to potentially, book a hotel room or, have my wife come over with both boys, and we'll figure out a way to make some of them be a little bit more of a family trip versus just a tournament for the 2 of us, which I think would help significantly with some of the sleep deprivation that he's going to go through.
Yeah, you're building core memories right there. This is you guys are going to be a fan favorite. If he's half the kid that I think he's going to be on camera, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch you guys and see how he reacts on the boat and how you guys proceed. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say he could very much be the little ham on the camera, but at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if he clams up either and, is shy in front of the camera. We'll see how it goes. I don't know what to expect.
It's going to be a fun trip to take with you guys. I'll tell you that much. Do you have any pre-match, pre-tournament rituals? Are you a superstitious guy?
Not for head to head. In the past, I definitely have had some rituals, some OCD things when it comes to good luck. Things like, and they make no sense to me, but like getting up in the morning, like if I made my bed before I went and had a good tournament day, I would make my bed the next day, the same way. I've been known to wear the same clothes. A lot of dumb things like that where they really have no impact at all on the day. And the funny thing is, even if you go through those motions, for me at least, what I found is I don't even think about it at the end of the day. So like if I had a good day and I wear the same clothes the next day and I have another good day, I don't think that's because of the clothes. And if I had a bad day, I don't go, well, it's because, I wore different clothes or whatever. Like it's just one of those things like in the moment there are things I'll do that are the same way. But at the same time I got to say as I've gotten older, I've gotten away from a lot of that where I recognize that it's not it's my habits are not going to necessarily change the performance or the outcome.
Do you have a plan to celebrate victories with your son? Are you guys going to go crush some ice cream or do anything fun to celebrate?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could see there being an ice cream victory. That's one of the things we like to do that with our Wednesday nighters. If we go out and have a good tournament, we get rewarded with ice cream. Not that day, but like the next day or so. Yeah,
Yeah.
there'll be some form of victory celebrations.
If you could pick one sponsor that you would represent, who would that be and why?
Bridgeford Foods. Bridgeford Foods is my primary sponsor. They're family to me at this point. I would not be here right now if it wasn't for Bridgeford Foods. I mean, they picked me up when I had a very little following. My tournament performance had not come around to the level where it has over the last 12 years or whatever. And from that standpoint, they kind of took a risk on me, but they're one of those American-made companies that treats you like a family member. It's not all about performance. It's really about the relationship and what value you can bring to them. So from that standpoint, I really believe I owe my entire career to them. I mean, I left a corporate job to pursue fishing full time, and I mean, really, I didn't. I ran into the Bridgeford family at one of the tournaments, and that led to a relationship. And it was just one of those kind of moments where they say, if you're like getting a job or, some things happen for a reason. And it was just one of those odd moments that has led to, man, I don't know. At this point, it's probably been a 10 or 12-year relationship. And I'm very proud to have the Bridgeford logo on my jersey.
Yeah, excellent. All right, you're a big tournament guy. Have you witnessed any devastating events or had a devastating event happen to you? I heard a story about a duo bringing in their bag and transferring the bag onto shore, and the bag fell in the water. They lost their entire tournament bag. Devastating. Have you had anything like that happen to you, or have you witnessed anything like that?
Yeah, well, I've had instances where like you're carrying a bag up to weigh in and a fish jumps out. I've never lost the fish, but I've jumped on a fish that's flopping around on a dock. You do it long enough, you've always got the fish that you think about, the one that got away. And honestly, I think if you do it long enough, generally the tournaments that go your way are not the ones you think about the most. It's the fish that
Yep.
got away. So for me, like I've won at pretty much every level now, and there's 3 or 4 tournaments that were professional level tournaments that I had the fish on to win, and I didn't put them in the boat. I mean, there was the U.S. Open out on Lake Mead was won back in like it was probably 2017, where that's one that really gets me the most. I was in third place going into the final day. It's a fishery where a 2-pounder is a giant fish there. Like if you can catch 7 to 8 pounds a day, you're going to cash a check. It's a 3-day tournament, and the final day I was in third. I was like a pound behind, and it started off really well with catching like 3 fish for like 7 or 8 pounds, and then I had I had a fish that was probably a 3.5 pound largemouth that hit a top water bait, fought it a ways to the boat, it jumped and came off, and that one was like, that one stings. But then I had a 3-pound smallmouth that was getting towards the end of the day, and every fish I had caught at that point, I was just basically swinging into the boat because the first three at least that I had caught were on jigs, and I just was swinging them into the boat. And you're teamed up with a partner co-angler in those events, and the guy that I was teamed up with when I had the smallmouth on, which was on a crankbait, he goes to net the fish, and the smallmouth's right by the side of the boat, and he's not netting it. So I'm like, net it. And he's like, I don't know how to net. And I'm like, you don't know how to, like, what do you mean? He goes, I've never fished before. And, and the whole day I'm watching his technique, and it was not good, but, it is what it is. And so he went and stabbed at the fish and got the crankbait on the outside of the net and just held it there. And I'm like, just swing it in. And he got it halfway in the boat, and the fish fell off. And it was one of those instances where, like, that fish would have ended, though both fish would have ended up winning the tournament. That fish particularly, I think, would have put me in second with a shot to win it. And that's like a $150,000 payday. But
Oh my goodness.
the thing with that story, that it's just something that makes me recognize, like, life isn't all about fishing. The individual that I fished with that day had never fished before, and the only reason he was at the tournament, the only reason he was fishing the tournament, was because he drove one of his good friends down who had terminal cancer, and that friend's, like, sole thing that he wanted to do was fish the US Open. And the friend talked him into fishing the tournament so that he wasn't just waiting around all day. And as in that format, you fish as a co-angler, you get paired with a different pro every day, and you fish as a team. You have combined weight format. So he had told me that story earlier in the day, and that's why I was fine with, like, the mechanics wise not being good. You always take netting for granted. Like, you always think it's just put the fish in the net, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's a foreign thing. So for me, it was one of those things where, like, the fish came off, but it was like, I can't even be mad at the situation. Like, I'm fortunate to be here fishing and healthy and doing all that. But that tournament is one I think about a lot, because the U.S. Open is considered one of the best tournaments out there. But I've had several tournaments like that. I had a tournament back a few years ago, maybe 2022, 2023, on the St. Lawrence River, where I think I lost. I finished second. It was a FLW invitational or pro circuit at the time. And I lost by a pound, and every day I had a 5+ pounder that was, like, within arm's reach that got off. And if I landed one of those fish, I would have won that tournament. And so you think about those fish. You don't think about the ones that you've won, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, any sport, you think about missing the big shot. You very rarely remember the makes. Yeah, I totally get it.
Well, it's one of those things when you execute to your expectations, you're satisfied. When you don't, that's when you're disappointed. And the disappointment is for me is way harder to handle than the execution of what you were expecting to do anyways.
Well said. Who is a person who has impacted your life the most? And do you have a story about them?
Fishing wise or in general?
In general.
Man, that's a loaded question. Fishing wise, I definitely would say my grandpa that I was talking about earlier, because he had a character trait where he was one of those guys you talk to and you ask a question and you sit there for a second because they don't respond, and you're like, did they hear me? But he's really sitting there thinking about the response, right? And that character trait has always been an important thing for me, where it's like he was one of those stoic individuals that when he spoke, you listened, but he didn't say a ton. But when he said something, it was always really good. So from a fishing standpoint, he was the one that started fishing, kind of showed me patience, kind of showed me that it wasn't really about the catching. It was about being in the outdoors. And from an individual standpoint, this might sound weird, but my wife, Sarah, is such a complete opposite to me, where for, like, everything else in life, she's just a really good sounding board. And somebody like her character strengths as an individual are just ones that I find very refreshing. And somebody she rubs off on me a lot. Let's put it that way.
Nothing weird about that answer. That's a fantastic answer. Do you have a best moment? What is your best moment in life outside of fishing? An impactful moment.
You're getting deep on me.
Just wanted to know you as a person a little bit.
there's so many things in life that you're satisfied by. I don't know that I have one moment I look at and I'm like, that's a defining moment. But I mean, having there's definitely events that have occurred, whether it's having, children is one thing that's a life-changing event that
Yep.
you instantly, your everything changes, but it changes more from like, you go from, at least with me, I feel like I was much more selfish of an individual. Like I did what I wanted to do, and all of a sudden you have kids, and it's like everything revolves around them. At that point, you go into like, how do I keep them healthy? How do I protect them? How do I keep them from dying when they're little? And so those are huge moments. There's things that I look back on that I'm very fortunate happened in my life, whether I feel like it was dumb luck or whether I feel like it was through hard work. It's not generally a moment, but it's like I look back and I go, man, I'm really fortunate that happened. Things like the Bridgeford, meeting the Bridgeford family. It's like, I still don't understand why that happened to this point, but I'm so fortunate and happy that happened for me, because it really just has allowed me to develop my career as a fisherman and a businessman in the fishing world, which is where I want to be. I worked the corporate world for so long in the financial industry, and I was just not a happy camper. Like I lived to go fishing at that point, but now I get to make a living in the fishing industry. And, I don't feel much stress, but the stress that I feel now is generally related to not having the time to do everything that I want to do. Like in the old days, it was it was stress like regarding work, that it was a job. I was stressed about the job. Now it's like I'm stressed because I can't do everything that I want to do, and I feel like that's all different because now it's doing things that make me happy, but it's just a matter of finding the time to do it all.
What is your motivation to succeed? Are you a money-driven guy? Do you like the trophies, the accolades? Like, what drives you to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a financially motivated individual. Like that's a big part of me. Now, having said that, I recognize that money is not necessarily happiness. I mean, like I mentioned before, I left a phenomenal corporate job to pursue fishing, and when I did that, I took about a 80% pay cut. Like, so I left a really good job to pursue happiness, but I'm definitely financially motivated when it comes to like decisions that I make, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a detriment. I could be cheap at times, and I probably should be not always as cheap as I am.
It's a hard line to toe. I feel your pain on that one.
Yeah. I'm not cheap when it comes to fishing tackle. That's part of the problem.
There you go. So for the young people watching this, or people just trying to break into the sport, what's some advice that you would give someone? Either, I mean, if they're trying to break into the tournament scene or just learning how to fish, what's some advice that you would give someone?
Yeah, I mean, I think this really advice for whatever you do. I mean, the experience is always key. If you want to exceed in fishing, if you want to exceed in basket weaving, whatever it is, I mean, the reality is the more time you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So, you can't expect anything to come easily. If you're specifically looking to become a good fisherman, try to fish as many different types of water as possible. Try to fish for as many different species as possible, because every time you do that, you pick up little characteristics, of what's going on, and you can apply it to another trip in the future. For me, that was one of the biggest mistakes I've made in my career, like if I could do it all over again, I would have either fished more at a lower level to get exposure of different types of lakes around the country, or fished as a co-angler for a few years, where I could jump in the back of somebody's boat on lakes that I was unfamiliar with anglers that fish techniques that I was unfamiliar with. Because when I look back at my career, the first 3 years for me really was a more of a matter of trying to figure out the different types of fisheries. If you go up here in the North Country, we've got natural lakes and rivers. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Even our reservoirs are much more natural lake-ish than like a TVA reservoir where you've got really good current that pulls through them. So for me, it was a learning curve of how do I go to the Ozarks and fish highland impoundments? How do I go fish TVA lakes? How do I go fish a lowland reservoir that you've got down in Texas? Every one of those was major learning curves for me. And it took me the first couple of years of my career to kind of get a handle on each of those types of fisheries. So it really comes down to experience. If you're looking to get better, do whatever you can to gain experience. If you have the ability to talk to individuals that you feel confident are going to, truly try to help you, you know, pick their brain. That was one of the things that I know drove my family members crazy, but they all make fun of me still to this day, where when we'd go on those vacations, I'd be an 8-year-old and my grandpa would come in and my dad would come back, in the rowboat, or my uncle would come back and I'd go over and what'd you catch it on? What color did you catch it on? What bait was it? Where did you catch it? And I would fire so many questions at him, and I know it drove him nuts, but for me, it was just a matter of information gathering. And I think that's important. If you want to succeed in anything, no matter what it is, you got to put the hard work in. But if you put the hard work in, you'll be rewarded at some point.
What are some hobbies other than hunting and fishing?
So I don't hunt. That's kind of weird, but I don't. I love to fish when everyone else is hunting. I feel like it's one of the best times to fish, especially in our neck of the woods. But I've got a lot of things that I enjoy doing. I enjoyed like woodworking, doing like making tables, things like that. I'm I like investing. I like the stock market. I like kind of looking into that type of stuff. I've always been kind of a collector, if that makes sense. Like, my boys are just starting to get into like sports cards, and I was a big sports card guy. So now it's like
Nice.
it's like I'm reliving my childhood. We're going to card shows now. And the weird thing is like, when we were collecting, it was, you didn't have all of the crazy downtown and kabooms and all the stuff that they have now. It was like you were trying to pull like a rookie card, like a
Right.
1989 Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck rookie card or something like that. Or so it's a different world. But I've always been a collector of various things. I have a lot of antique fishing lures, and I don't know. I've a little bit of everything.
Do you have a card collection? And if so, what is your favorite? It doesn't have to be the most valuable. What's your favorite card that you own?
Yeah.
One that you won't part ways with.
So my cards are still a joint ownership with my two brothers, and they're
Oh,
at my parents' house still. We've got a lot of like Jordan cards. Growing up in Chicago during the '90s, the Bulls, that was like the Bulls time period. So like,
oh yeah.
if I had my favorites, I would say it was the various Jordan cards. Now we don't have like any of the rookie cards, but I think like third year Fleer cards and Scottie Pippen rookies, and so those are the ones that I like the most. Not, I mean, they're not really worth that much, but yeah, those are the ones for sure.
Yeah. Nice. If you could have a superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh man, I mean, I probably would just say flying. I would like to be able to. I mean, if you think about how easy it would be to fly somewhere, put your arms up and Superman it to wherever you want to go, that would be really nice. Especially, fishing for a living is really nothing more than being a full-time truck driver, part-time fisherman. So if I could just snap my fingers and fly somewhere, that would be cool.
Yeah, for sure. All right, you're stranded alone. What are 3 items you're bringing?
Anywhere, or am I on an island, or just stranded alone?
Let's just say you need to survive. You need to survive somewhere. You can pick the climate, whatever you want. What are 3 items you're bringing?
Anything.
You can bring anything.
I mean, I feel like having a rifle probably wouldn't be some form of shotgun. Maybe a shotgun would be better at that point. Be easier to hit things. I don't know. I mean, I would have something like that. I would probably have a knife, and I would probably have some form of fire starter.
There you go. You're surviving. What actor would play you in a movie about your life, and why?
How long did it take you guys to make these questions? What actor? Who? I mean, do I go with looks, or do I go with like who I actually think might look like me? I feel like maybe I mean, if I had my choice, I'd say like Brad Pitt. I feel like that guy is, I just like can't take my eyes off him if he's in a movie. But I don't, for some reason, I feel like if you like character wise, like I've always related really well to John Krasinski from In the Office. Like
Yeah.
that was my corporate world. I felt like I worked with all of the characters from The Office, and so I have I just relate really well to him because of that show. So maybe that would be the guy to go with.
Perfect. All right, plan your perfect meal. What are you having?
I'm gonna have a good New York style pizza. I mean, I am a pizza connoisseur. I will drive long distances out of my way as I travel across the country to pick up a good pizza.
Okay, you grew up in Chicago. You're not going with a Chicago style pizza. You're going New York style?
No, I'm much more of a thin crust guy. A Chicago deep dish is not I'm okay with it occasionally, but it's no. I mean, it's just a big mess. It's not like
It's a
eat it with your
life
hands.
experience.
I like to fold a piece over. I've taken trips to New York specifically just for pizza. I mean,
Ooh,
there's a place in Hot Springs, Arkansas called DeLuca's, and that place
okay.
is potentially the best pizza I've ever had in my life. The story goes, the owner, who is there every time you're there, he supposedly is from Brooklyn and traveled the country looking for the best water to make pizza, and because he felt like that was the ingredient that made the best pizza, and he found Hot Springs, Arkansas, and set up shop there. And I'll tell you what, it
Nice.
is amazing. Like
What
I
what
mean, I drive
toppings are you
3
putting
hours
on
out
it?
of my way, and I'll pick up 4 of those pizzas and bring them home.
I love pizza. What toppings are you putting on this?
Just straight cheese, man. You want a good pizza? You want to determine a good pizza? You go with just a straight cheese or a marguerite pizza. That doesn't mean, I mean, I like pepperoni, and I like
Yeah.
sausage and the works at times too. But when I'm evaluating a pizza for the first time, I'm going just cheese. You
All
want to know
right.
what's crazy? We just were at Kentucky Lake for a Bass Open, and there's a place in Paris, Tennessee, of all places, that it's called Mama Tiggs, and it was unbelievably good pizza. We I think we went there 3 or 4 nights. It was amazing. Like it
Nice.
was at least Hot Springs, Arkansas is kind of a really trendy vacation type town when you're there. Like it's a happening place. Paris, Tennessee is like nothing. I mean, it's a town of like 1,000 people. Maybe it's probably more than that, but I mean, it's not where you would expect to find good pizza. And we were all blown away by it.
Can't go wrong with pizza. That's
Mhm.
a great answer. Who are you bringing to this pizza meal? You can bring 3 people. They can be with us or past. What 3 people are you bringing?
Man, I mean, I off the top of my head, I don't know of anyone specifically that would have to be there. There's a pile of people, like more historical type people, that I'd like to, I guess, talk to. From a fishing standpoint, I there's some people in the industry I would love to sit down and talk to and get like their inside information, whether they would actually share it or not. I don't know. Somebody like Johnny Morris, he's somebody I've never met, but they know the inner workings of the fishing world. And then I have some questions that I would like answers to about the industry, and so somebody like that would be interesting. There's some other anglers out there that I really admire. I mean, guys like Larry Nixon, Hank Parker, Andy Morgan, guys like that who are just I've been fortunate enough to actually sit down and talk with them and know them, but they're just really good characters that would be fun to have a pizza with.
Yeah, nice. All right, a couple favorites. Favorite movie?
I mean, Happy Gilmore is a great one. I'm happy to see
right.
they're coming out with a second one. I'm excited to see what that is.
Yeah, it actually looks like it could be pretty good, which is nice. Favorite TV show?
The Office.
The Office? Who's your favorite character on The Office?
Dwight.
Home run there. Favorite musician, band?
Oh, man. Man, I mean, for years and years, it was Metallica. And they've kind of, as I've gotten older, I feel like they've kind of maybe worked their way out. I mean, I still love a lot of their stuff. I just can't sit and listen to it for hours like I used to. Um, who's somebody more recent that I'm enjoying a lot of? Man, I'm very eclectic when it comes to music. Like if I pulled up my phone list, it would be everything from rap to country to like, uh, I mean, even even a lot of like EDM stuff. Like I really enjoy that when I'm driving long nights. Like I'll throw on some bass beat and stuff, and keeps you awake at night. So like I really listen to everything. I can't say I've got like one band that I gotta listen to. I'm a really big fan of Alice in Chains. Like I love Alice in Chains. Yeah.
All right. Last question. We're gonna wrap it up with this. Number 1 seed's pretty important in head to head. You get the bye, you get the money. Do you have a prediction who's gonna be the number 1 seed?
Probably won't be us. I know. I mean, I think we're missing one tournament too, so we're giving away one win right there. I mean, like Ron Twardarski and Chris Frederick are very good fishermen. They're from the Wednesday Night Club over here too, so I know they've done very well in it before, so I could see them doing well. Honestly, all of the anglers are really good. I mean, it's probably not fair for me just to call out Ron and Chris, but I would say there is part of me that would like to beat them just because there's more bragging rights since they are in my neck of the woods.
100%. Yeah, it's a pretty loaded field this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Matt, I really appreciate you taking time out with us today. Looking forward to watching Hank on the boat, hammering him away. I bet you he just shines in front of that camera. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch you guys all season long.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. We're really looking forward to it. I feel like over the last 6 months, Hank has continued to ask me, when is the first head-to-head? When is the first head-to-head? And finally, we can say it's only, what is it? It's like 3 weeks away at this point, right? April 30th? I think it's April 30th. So, yeah, we're looking at about 3 weeks away. Should be fun.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, Matt. Really appreciate you taking time out to talk to us today, and we're looking forward to you all season long. Thanks again, and appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. That's Matt Stefan, head-to-head angler on the bass side of things. Watch him all season long right here on Fix.